Welcome YouTube. We got 2002 and a crash going on in the back of the job. Anyway, a 2002 Pontiac, Montana came in with a loud noise. It's got the 3.4 liter V6 in. I'm going to start it up, show you how we find this, and we'll go from there, figure out what this noise is. Hopefully, I know on camera it sounds a lot different. There's a growling sound in this thing. Got a little device here. I lost the battery cover to it, but listening device with a set of earbuds. I gotta go over all the pulleys. Find this noise, and then we'll probably take the belt off, also extend the pulleys. I got small ears, so I don't know if these earbuds mess up. There we go. Got volume control on this thing. Let's find this noise. These things are so sensitive. It sounds like everything sometimes is growling, but pull the belt off, spin the pulleys. It's a cross between a water pump, possibly a AC compressor bearing. So let me turn it off. Okay, we're going to get this belt off first. I'm going to pull this little cover off right here. Get a little more visibility down inside here. I'm going to show you this. You know how to take a belt off of these things. Self-tensioner sits down kind of low. We just shot a video of a Chevy Venture. Basically the same setup that we had done a water pump on that car. We might have the same situation going on here. I said it was really hard to tell with those stethoscopes and those ears what's going on. It's so weird. I get so used to looking over the top of my glasses. I don't know why. I used to having readers on, and I still do it. It's crazy. I'm going to lay it up here like this, and I'm going to put it back in the same direction when I took it off. I'm going to spin these pulleys by hand. See if I can actually hear anything. Alright, there it is actually, guys. The AC compressor bearing is bad. You can't put just an AC compressor clutch hub assembly and bearing in this thing, but probably going to opt for an AC compressor, so I'm going to give him a call and see if we get authorization to do this job before I continue from here now that I've located what the noise is. So you get the electronic ears, like I say, they can be deceptive. I like the actual regular stethoscope kind, not the electronic type. I've got those two. That electronic one, I've got to get used to it. I kind of could tell that it seemed like it was either the water pump, but it was louder at the AC compressor. So yeah, so we'll be back. I've got to get authorization on the job. Okay, I'm back and talked to the customer about this vehicle, and they give us the authorization to go ahead. I'm going to show you a little closer the bad clutch hub bearing on this thing, but the compressor is also leaking, a dye coming out of it, so it's going to get a whole new compressor on this vehicle. Also a front engine mount is just saturated, and a oil cooler adapter O-rings leaking oil. We're going to have to break this up into some different videos here, but the first one we're going to shoot is the air conditioning, and obviously with changing the compressor, the first thing we're going to do is with the Bosch machine is evac the system, so I'm going to go ahead and get that started. Hook my high and my low side lines up. I've already done that. We just got to turn our machine on. Alright, so we got it in evac mode. It's doing its thing. I'm not going to sit here and let you see all that. When we pick back up, it's going to be empty. We're going to take it up, show you this bad compressor leaking and the bad bearing, and start from there. It's late in the afternoon, which is actually about 5:20 on a Tuesday afternoon, and the parts aren't going to be here till tomorrow morning anyway. So once I get all the parts here, everything in hand, we'll proceed forward. Alright, so stay tuned. Be back. Okay, the air conditioning system's evacuated and all the freon's out of it. I've got this Pontiac, Montana, it's up on the left. First thing, got a little ahead of us, so you know if you're doing this job. This piece right here bolts up right underneath here. About 4 10mm bolts, and then you can take it out of the way. And then this piece right here goes up into the fender well up in here. There's just some clips that hold it on. That one. This little piece here, you want to take it off, and obviously you want to take your tire off to access room and get that out of there. Once you've done that, then I said I was going to show you that leak. The system had dye in it. Right in the bottom of the compressor, you can see the green dye. There. And it leaking. Alright. Got it? Now, there's a wiring harness that comes across the bottom of this. Right here. This wiring harness, and it clips up into here. Just unclip it and slide it back underneath your compressor, just to get that out of the way. Then, try to get this light here. Is that good? Okay. Then we gotta take both the high side and the low side lines off. Those are 13mm nuts. That one there, and there's one way up top. It's kind of hard to get to. And then there's 15mm bolts, 3 of them, that hold the compressor on. So I'm going to go ahead and take the lines off. Use this mountain wrench. And maybe there's 12. Let me double check this. No, they are 13. Take these off. Just place it on my nuts, my screws, my bolts, and my clips on a little magnet tray over here. And the one on top, these are nice because they angle so well. And you can get to the top one with them. A whole lot easier from down here. Slid the line out. No, can we get it today? Had a little bit of pressure on the system, not much. Once you get that, that's a suction line I just took off. And right on the top. You gotta angle this thing like that. And if everything works out, you'll be able to get that top nut out of there. Get a couple of hands and maybe 2-finger it. I've got it broken loose. A little bit anyway. And you think it's loose and it's really not. Oh, yeah, that works. So you see it's at a great angle there of taking that top nut off of, this is the discharge line for the air conditioning. So what we call the high side. And there's some new compression seals that will go back on that with the new compressor. Say we would have just put a bearing in it, if you can hear this. If I didn't have that leak, we would have just pulled the clutch off and would have just put the bearing in it and saved them a lot of money, but like I said, it's leaking, so it would have been a waste of time. We've been right back. with an AC that wasn't cooling correctly. So I've got my discharge line off. I'm just pushing it up out of the way. I'm going to grab one of those mountain wrenches again. 15 millimeter. Top bolts right up here. I don't know, because they're long bolts, if I'm going to have to pull the fan off of this vehicle. If I do, we're going to have to lower this vehicle down. It is November the 30th when we're doing this job. And look at that, wow, it's oil running out of the bolt hole. And I'm taking off the compressor. We got some oil leaks that we're going to be fixing on this car anyway. We got it loose. I'm taking it out by hand. They call me Garth. Garth Brooks of the Automotive. That's what I at least would like to say. Otherwise, I don't really know what they mean. Okay. I've got that one loose. You can see it. It's dripping oil everywhere. It's kind of odd. There's a bolt here in the bottom. Let's see how we get to that. We'll use a ratchet and a socket on that one. And there's one more on the top. You have to take that suction line off to get to the top bolt. What you might do on it. So I'm trying to get that suction line to give us enough room to access that top nut. Just try to push it out of the way. Not cooperating with us too well. See if I can push it back. Yeah, it goes back a little bit easier. And I won't be able to use this wrench on that. What a crazy mess. We've got a 15 millimeter socket, swivel-headed ratchet. This should do the trick. Again, maneuvering that line back. And you gotta grunt. That only makes it sound like you're really working hard. Oh! Oh, I've got that loose. Let's see if I can get it out of there. That goes right by being a royal pain as far as getting this room. I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try quarter inch in my little Milwaukee. See if I can't run that thing out of there. Still don't know if I've got room to get in there. Oh no, that's not going to work either. So we'll just battle it. Let's try with a little quarter-inch Carlisle little fine-tooth ratchet here. That works more better. Might leave the bolts in the compressor. We may not have to pull the fan that way. When it slides out, I'll show you how it comes out of there. Like that one's loose. Now we're going to go after that bottom one in the compressor. Let's see. I have enough to get into it. Enough to get to this bottom one, straight through there like that. That's a little swivel-headed extension. Gives you just a little bit of swivel. Now the compressor's still plugged in up top. But when we lower it, we'll be able to unplug it. It's humid for November the 30th here. We've got like 82 degrees in the shop. Not complaining if you're from New York, Eric. I know you're freezing your butt off. You have heaters in your shop though. We're not high-tech enough like the dealerships to install air conditioning in the place. You can only imagine what that electric bill would cost. I believe it's loose. Kind of wiggling around there. Is she going to give us enough room to reach the plug? That's a little close to the fan. There's still a little bit in there. Alright. Play with the bolts. Get them enough out of the fan. Like I said, to trim it down. There's the bottom bolt. Get that out of the way. Trying to see my top bolt out. It's longer. You gotta fix these rollers. You're getting a call about that. So the plug for this is right on top. And I've just disconnected it. This compressor is going to come out through the fender well area. So once you get that out of there, pull that wiring harness back up. The visual is probably not the prettiest here. Let's see how I'm doing here. I'm going to bring my light around. You got a rental place down the street? Here we are. Just trying to get this compressor out through this fender well area. It is extremely tight in there. So I'm not sure. Looks like I may lower that cradle bolt. Or that's actually lower control arm bolt. And make this easier. So let's find out if I can still get it out of there without doing that. Now I bet you I need just that little bit of more room. Let me go grab a 4-bit socket and pull that bolt. Pull that bolt down. Be right back. Okay, that lower control arm is a T55. I don't know if I got the mustard to pull it loose with this or not. Oh, not my last spot. That's tight. There's another way to handle this. Might drop this front engine cradle bolt. Let's give that a shot. I don't need much. No, if it's an 18. Get you a better picture of that. I'm going to grab snap-on battery powered impact. Light around. Bolt right here. And lower this cradle a little bit. If you saw that, the cradle moved down probably about an inch. Let's see if that was enough. Now we'll do some more. Alright. Give it a little more. I'm not worried about supporting it right now. It's not going anywhere. That's that ABS wire right there. That works. So, I'm going to lower that front engine cradle bolt There's enough room. That's a whole lot easier than trying to pull this fork bit out. And there's that leaky compressor that's going away. There's the plug where it plugs in on the top, the wiring harness that I disconnected. Let me set this aside. New compressor is over here on the bench. This is the part number 638929. Compressor works. Already taken the plugs out of it. Comes shipped without oil. Takes tag 46. And I put 4 ounces in it. That's typically about what I put in it. Got new sealing washers. I'm going to put these sealing washers on these lines right here. Before I put everything together, may make it a little easier on the top. There's one wore out sealing washer. Take a closer look at that oil leak too. There's sealing washer. Set up over your line. High side line now can come down here too. We don't want to leave them down here when we're putting our compressor in, and you're not going to get them back up in there. But right here, Dave, I got AC oil leaking all over it. But right there, the high side line. The sealing washer is going to come off of there. I don't buy expensive picks because I break them all the time. $3 picks from Harbor Freight. There's the other sealing washer. Airplane part. New sealing washer, just being careful. There's some lube there from it leaking, so we're alright. So that's in there. And while I'm here, I want to take a peek at that oil leak. Why did oil run out of the bulb? Well, we got an engine oil cooler. That's them, the O-ring leaking. Let me tuck this stuff out of the way. So there's the oil cooler. We're going to have to replace the O-rings on that. That's for another time. But I did pull codes on this vehicle. Had a code for a oil pressure sending unit, which is most likely the problem with these Chryslers. I'm going to see if that's leaking. And that's going to be a little easier to change that now than later. That's right up on top of the starter. And tie strap. I don't think back so they don't keep slapping me. But right up there, above that hot wire on that starter, there's the plug for the oil sending unit. It has not got any oil in it, so the oil sending unit's not leaking, but it sits back off inside there. It's a cheap part. I'm going to go ahead and change it while I'm here. Just a Napa part, OP6659. Got the new one. The deep socket for these to install it. It has thread sealer on it. Without, believe it or not, I don't have the battery disconnected, so I do not want to arc weld today. It's not in there very tight. You don't need to be in there very tight. And where this is, there is not any way I can give you a good clear shot of the sensor. I mean, it's up there. I've got the car kind of high right now, trying to give the viewers better visibility, but it's got me on my tippy toes. There's the old one. No oil in it. Probably skewed on its values. We'll recheck the oil pressure sensor code once I get done with this. There's that one. I pick all that crap up later. Make sure new one. Stretch out. Let's put it in my socket. Might give me a little bit more reach. I've got it started. And like I say, it's right up above the starter. The wire's in the way. To do that, you'd have to pull that bottom cover off if you're doing with the oil pressure switch, if it was leaking. Alright, nicely torqued the specs on the oil pressure switch. Plug it back in. It's right up here. Make sure I get it indexed correctly. Make her click. She's in there. So that's the oil pressure switch. We are going to be changing the oil cooler O-rings. I probably did mention that. We may shoot a video on that. We may not. We'll see how that works out. We are changing the slower engine mount. I'm sure we'll shoot the video of that and show you how mushy it is from the oil leaks. It needs upper intake. Manifolds leaking also. Valve covers. Might shoot a video of that too, so there might be 4 or 5 parts of this car. Not going to do it all in one video, but let's say after this AC and that grounding. So, let's see here. Let's first get these hoses pushed back up in here. That's probably good. Yeah. Get this one up there first. Get it on the correct side. There we are. And they're going to be stubborn. They're going to be in your way. I'm going to try to tuck them up against the exhaust manifold up inside there. I'll just place down underneath. There we are. There's our AC plug. I want to spray on some brake cleaner and clean this up a little bit before we proceed. Alright, we got everything kind of cleaned up. We're going to clean this thing up better. I got my new compressor in hand. You saw how I got it out. I got to shove it back through that side fender well skirts there. Whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't mean to do that. Lose all my oil. We'll put a little bit of more oil back in it when I put it together. It's going in. Already getting filthy even though I cleaned it a little bit. We got to slide our bolts back in the compressor, like I say, because if you don't do it now, you're not going to get them in there later. So we have the 2 long ones and the shorter one. And 2 longer ones go in the top. Just slide it back here. Wiggling pins in the wobbling shafts. Don't have to worry about my bottom one because I believe I can get it out and in because I've lowered the subframe. Alright, I'm going to plug it back in here. Right over the top of the compressor. Once I get it positioned, be very careful with these to get them lined up and straight when you plug them in. You don't know how many guys have bent the tabs and then the compressor won't engage. So when you plug that in, it's right there on the top. Make sure she's straight. Now we're going to line these bolts up and get this compressor started. I did lower the car just a little bit, and I'm still standing on 155. Yeah, we were definitely gonna have to put some oil back in there because I didn't put the plugs back. Not a big deal. We can do that when we back it down. Not much, but we did lose some. We'll start those by hand. Get it going good. Alright, let's find out if that short bottom one will go in without having to do anything else. And it will. So if I was doing this job again, I would lower the subframe first. It gives you a little bit more room. Now, before I tighten that compressor, I just want to make sure that I'm able to get my line started. To get my AC lines in there. Now, if you remember, I stuffed them up high to the exhaust. Our O-rings are already on. And that's good. I cannot start the suction side because I have to tighten that bolt, but I can make sure that at least I'm going to be able to. And it looks like I am. If I'm wrong, guess what? We take her back down. Alright, I'm using that 1/4" ratchet to run this stuff in. Carl so I can call out the fine tooth ratchet. Might be able to get some air or some battery in here, but it's a pretty tight area. That one's snug. You got to run the one in the back in most of the way by hand so you have enough room to get your socket and your ratchet in there. Actually still can't, so we know we get that mountain wrench in there, we're good. Which was this one. And I'm just snugging these up. I'm not cranking this stuff down right now. Up there. I'm putting the bottom bolts in. I said there's just 3 bolts in this compressor. This is not a bad job. I just want to get these tight. Now, a regular 15 and a 3/8. You cannot get in there with a ratchet. There's no room. Alright, so the compressor bolts are tight. Let's get that other suction side line on here. I hope. It's a stud that sticks out pretty far on that thing. And I don't line it around. I'm going to bend this line down just a little bit. Enough to line it up. Snap that back in place before I put this thing back together. There we are. They're started. 2 13mm nuts to hold those lines on. See if I can 2-finger the top of that thing and get that top one started. Mike could get this from up top, but I don't think so. Got them down as far as I can by hand. They were 13mm. Make sure that it's seated before you tighten them so you do not bend the little flange. Angle it over. Okay, they're both on. So we got both of our lines on. We got our compressor bolts tight. We got our compressor plugged in. So I'm going to put this line back into trans cooler line. I'm going to bit down just to give me enough room to get past that stud. I'm going to wash this down a little bit with brake cleaner. I'm not going to put that bottom cover on I told you guys about because I got to work on this. I'm not going to clip these two little clips that go into here to hold this wiring harness up now because we are going to be changing the oil cooler O-rings. So our bottom section of this job's completed. We got to let the car down, put the belt on, and evacuate the system. So we're going to do that right now. Okay guys, I almost forgot and made a stupid mistake. Stupid rookie mistake. The bottom cradle bolt needs to be tightened up. I'm going to go ahead and do that now so I don't forget later. So I'm going to disappear here for a second. Might drop that back down when we do the oil cooler, we'll see. Let's put this over this side. Alright, so I talked about that upper discharge line hose. You can get it from up here and tighten it up. See if I can get Dave to get a picture of that. Way down there, Dave, my gloves on it. Right there, guys. You can get to it with a ratchet, or actually a regular wrench. Okay? We got to route the belt. I got an arrow pointed out, that side out. The routing's nice on these because it's got it right here. I don't even have to look it up. Right on the top of this little plastic piece. So we'll run the belt on and we'll get the belt on this. I always try to put my belts on a smooth pulley, so I'm going to put on the smooth one there, and I'm going to bring up my tensioner. It's a 3/8 ratchet. Pulls the tensioner up. Way down in there. So we got the belt all routed into all the pulleys. The tensioner's way back here. Okay. And there's a little 3/8 in it right there that you put the ratchet in and you pull it this way to put your belt on. So the belt's installed. I'm going to now hook up the AC machine. We'll talk about this a little bit. Get her plugged in and booted up. Alright, got my lines. Your low side's right in front of the exhaust manifold right here. So I'm going to hook that up. So that's our suction side. Over here is our high side line right here, and that's got those rubber fittings that GM uses half the time you get done and they leak. We're going to find out if I have to change it later. Looks like it was in pretty good shape, but I just opened it up just enough to open it up. Don't crank down on them or they will leak. Boot up our AC machine. She did not, there she goes. She's on, boot it up. I'm going to run a 30-minute vacuum on this. I'm going to inject oil. Vacuum, inject oil. 30 minutes. And do a leak test. See if it holds vacuum. Alright, so we got 30 minutes to wait. And then charge it up. We'll come back when we're charging it, starting it. And continue from there. Alright, we're back. We've got everything evacuated. It says to add the oil. I added another ounce of BG oil and dye. And now we just press continue. And we move on to charging the air conditioning system up. So we will go into charge. Use the capacity charts on this. Tells us exactly how much Freon to put in it. This has front and rear air conditioning. Now, I know some of you guys are saying, why didn't you change the dryer when you did a compressor? Well, AC was working good and we wanted to opt out of that. So, customer's wishes, that's why at least a 30-minute vacuum to make sure we get all the moisture going out of the system. And then AC of the system was working before. So we should be good. So we got 2002. This Bosch is an ACS 620 evacuate recovery machine. It's a little slow on the computer. Alright, so we've got a Pontiac, we've got to put that in there. Pressing the start button, getting everything logged in. Sorry for your do-it-yourself guys. I know you don't have these machines to do this. Always like to charge systems to exact capacities, especially the newer stuff. It just asking me has it got front and rear air, and I just let you know it does have rear air. You tell it yes. Checking the database. Now it tells me that it holds 35 ounces of refrigerant. And I'm going to charge it through the low side. With it off, you can charge it with this machine through the high side. But never with it running do you want to charge it through the high side. So I charge it through the low side just in case I want to start it and finish up the charging on it. And I got my polar bear. How do you catch a polar bear? Well, here's what you do. When you go ice fishing, you go out, got to cut the hole in that ice, go fishing. Oh my God! Catch a few fish, set them on the edge of the hole right there, walk away and hide. When the polar bear sneaks up to the hole to get those fish for its dinner, you sneak up there real quietly and you kick them in the ice hole. There's your joke. So you don't want to touch this machine when it's charging because it's got the scale built into it. You'll throw the scale off, your charge will be wrong, you have to start all over. So it's got about halfway there. One thing that I didn't mention to you, new compressors, you want to spin the clutches on them, get the oil flowing through there. I already did that at least 25, 30 times. But you can just either use a wrench. This one I was able to use my hand and spin it as I'm doing right now. Alright, we're still charging, we're close. I'm going to fire it up. What I did notice, we got some more stuff on this thing I've got it fixed. The lower intake is leaking antifreeze. I noticed the side bottle was low on coolant. He didn't say anything about having to add coolant to this thing, so this vehicle needs a lot of work. Patience is a virtue. Still loading. Still charging. Do not disturb the unit. Alright, we're charged. We're going to press the yes, continue button. Start to evacuate hoses. Yes, because that regulates the freon by a few ounces to make it correct. It says disconnect your high side line. I'm just going to unscrew it from the Schrader here right now. Actually, I'm going to take it off because I want to make sure it's not leaking. Finally, a GM Schrader valve that's not leaking. I'm going to go ahead and put the cap on it. Now, it says to start the car and put it on max AC. I'm going to do that. Okay, we did that. Low side pressure looks good. The compressor clicked on. Now, we press the start button again, and it's doing a little equalization of the hoses here. We say on these critical systems, it's important to get them perfect. Now it says I can disconnect both sides, which would be nice now because it's right by the exhaust manifold before the thing gets hot. Here we are. These caps at the low side, make sure this is the secondary safety for freon leaks. Make sure it's got a seal in it. If it don't, replace it. No more leaks anyway. I don't see anything coming out of our low side Schrader valve. There we are. We're on there. I believe basically that's it. Hang on just one sec. Alright, so there you've got it. 2002 Pontiac, Montana with the 3.4 liter AC compressor that had a growling noise from the bearing, compressor replacement. Also the oil pressure switch. We're going to conclude this video from here. Any comments, any questions, feel free to ask. Subscribe to our channel. Many more videos to come. And thanks for watching.